The International Development Association, the IDA, is part of the World Bank that provides support to the poorest countries in the world. This week, the IDA released its audited financial statement. Tonight, Channels Television's information consultant Babajide Ogusanwo is here to discuss this latest report on the state of global debt and Nigeria's external borrowing position. It's great to have you on the news at 10 again, Babajide.
Good evening, Ayo.
All right, so let's get right into it. What is the status of Nigeria's debt at this moment in time, especially regarding funding from the IDA?
There are several ways you can look at debt, Ayo. But I'd like to start from something interesting. You know, there are three things that you always have more of than you know. The first, enemies. The second, sins. And finally, debt, Ayo. Speaking about debt, there's some good news and some bad news regarding the latest audited financial statements from the International Development Association. Let's start with the good news. The good news is the IDA did not state that Nigeria is a high debt risk country. The fact is, in page 40 of their report, what they clearly stated was that Nigeria is among the top 10 countries that they have borrowed money to. Number one on that list is India with $22 billion. Nigeria is on that list, number 5, $11.7 billion. Even on that list, you have Ghana in position 9. Ghana has borrowed money from the IDA. So good news is Nigeria is not classified as a high debt risk nation. Here's the bad news, Ayo. The bad news is the International Development Association only gives money to the poorest countries in the world. The 74 poorest countries are the ones that are eligible to get money from the IDA. The bad news is Nigeria has been on that list for too long. Nigeria needs to get off the list of being eligible to get money from the IDA. And that should be our goal. Our goal should be, how should we move away from becoming eligible for such a loan to being a country that even provides loan to poor and other developing countries.
So what are the facts about our external borrowing trend? How will you summarize it? Because, I mean, Nigeria is seen as, we try to call Nigeria the giant of Africa, or, a big brother to other African countries. But with this picture you painted, how will you summarize it?
So for the layman, let's call this external borrowing 101. Three things. The first is Nigeria's total debt as Nigeria. The first is we owe 33 trillion naira. The second is who owes that money. The fact shows that 80% of that money is being owed by the federal government. And the third is 60% of these monies are denominated, monies that we owe are denominated in naira. The 40% is denominated in foreign currency. So that's what we'll say external borrowing 101. But what's more important and why this discussion on debt continues is because of the trends in debt, Ayo. And the best way to look at it is not just to look at 2015 and 2020, it's to look at what happened in 2010, look at what happened in 2015, 5 years after, and look at what happened in 2020. So I want us to take a look at the patterns on Nigeria's borrowing trend. And if we take a look at that, it is self-explanatory. We can clearly see what has gone on in the last 10 years. As at December 2010, Nigeria had an external debt position of 690 billion naira. 5 years after, our external debt position had gone higher to 2.1 trillion naira. So as at December 2015, we owed the equivalent of 2.1 trillion naira. As at December 2020, our external debts had grown to 12.7 trillion naira. So why is this important? This is important because between December 2015 to December 2020, our external debt has grown by 500%, point one. The second thing is the federal government owes approximately 80% of this external debt. And to the final point, within this period, 2015 to 2020, where Nigeria's external debt has grown by over 500%, the federal government's revenue, Ayo, has grown by only 16%, from 3.4 trillion naira to 3.9 trillion naira. So yes, the International Development Association has not classified Nigeria as a high debt risk nation. That is the fact. But the fact is also that Nigeria's external debt in the last 5 years has grown by 500%, while the federal government's revenue has grown by only 16%. But you know what a wise man once said? He who robs Peter to pay Paul can always count on the support of Paul.
So who are the other agencies and countries that are lending to Nigeria with this picture you've painted?
We've got Nigeria's collecting
And is there
Eurobonds.
pressure on Nigeria, really, from all these...
So let's take a look at these other countries. So Nigeria's external debt position, based on the report from the Debt Management Organization, shows that today we owe $33 billion in dollar terms. Yes, the IDA still counts as the number 1 funding source. We have Eurobonds, but there's China. And China is coming on big. We now owe China money, loans outstanding to China, $3.4 billion. Less than half a decade ago, it was just about $1.3 billion. But again, from China, these loans are not coming for free. We've seen Nigeria importing a lot of equipment from China, and we're not really exporting to China. So we've seen more money coming from China, but we've also seen our trade deficit with China currently standing at over 4 trillion naira, because we are importing much more goods from China than we're exporting.
Babajide Ogunsanya, we'd like to end it there. Thank you so much for your
in
thoughts.
the final analysis, I'd like to tell you that he who borrows gold and currency can repay back. But those that borrow kindness are the ones that we should really focus on. And that is one of the things that is missing. Yes, we borrow money, gold, currency, we can pay back. We need to borrow each other, one another, more kindness. That is what we also need to do, and that is one of the solutions Nigeria needs, borrowing each other.
That's a food for thought.
You're kind to me tonight. You give me some time.
All right, very well then.